Welcome to the Buck Stops here, the official audio program of NotInHallOfFame.com, and I'm your host, Kurt Buckner, the Buck, the owner and the operator of NotInHallOfFame.com, and of course, the sister sites, the Fictitious Athlete Hall of Fame and the Fictitious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Vinny Lospinuso, our resident football expert, wanted to go through the Pro Football Focus 101, though that's the 101 players of the last decade, and just give a quick look. Are they Hall of Famers or are they not? What do they need to do? And in some case, we already have one who is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And when Vinny asks you to do a show, you say yes, because Vinny knows his shit. Without further ado, here's Vinny. Mr. Lospinuso, how are things on Long Island?
Still not good. Though it is getting a little bit better. Can't say the same for Brazil or Russia or the UK or many other places. And, as for the U.S. itself, well, if we should not think that anyone's envy of us, because if anything, they pity us. Because we are a big laughing stock right now because of a whole bunch of different reasons. But then again, what else now?
You make me feel lucky that I live on an island.
Yeah, in that case, you are very lucky.
So I'm going into this project here a little bit blind. I should have done a little bit more research, but sometimes it's more fun to sort of like let this all come at you. You sent me a message how you wanted to take a look at the 101 Players of the Decade by Pro Football Focus, an excellent website, and anyone who hasn't checked that out, they really should. And they've ranked the 101 greatest players of the last decade. And we spent a lot of time, you and I, discussing the all-decade teams. We had a very similar opinion. I think most people did. We were a little bit upset they didn't divide that into first team, second team. But I think with this, now we really have a ranking from people who really know what they're talking about. So I think we can take a look at some of these players and just go over really quickly what their Hall of Fame chances are. I think with a lot of them, it's pretty good. And with a few, I think they won't.
And also it's important to understand that PFF does their stuff differently from most football writers. Because the football writers, they see it a little bit more like general, a little bit more like eye test. PFF is all hardline analytics. This is all hardline analytics. And that is very necessary when comparing the two because it's a different perspective on it. And not only that, in today's world, where you have less people sure about, many sports writers in the media, and it's a very negative connotation. Granted, a lot of people have a very similar connotation with a lot of statisticians. But at the same time, I feel like we live in an age where you need to look at both sides of it and look at it objectively and kind of merge them together like a good marriage between the two, because it's not good to just disregard one and boost up the other. I think it's good to boost them up simultaneously because this is something that really needs to happen for us to really just grow and to really progress as society and for the future of sports in general.
Yeah, and it's something that Sunday Night Football, when they're doing their intros for all the players, they'll even have their rank on PFF.
Mm-hmm.
So it has reached the mainstream. So they've done, obviously, a great job. And shout out to them. Not that they need my shout out, but hey, why not?
More attention to them is always needed. The only downside, though, is that not all their articles are for reading right now, unless you have a subscription. So that kind of sucks for someone like me who does not have that. And I really want to see their article on why they feel Jamaal Charles is a better Hall case than Frank Gore. Unfortunately, I'm a mere mortal and has not put in the money for it, but I should get the subscription sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. So let's go through that. Number one, no shock to anybody. It's quarterback Tom Brady. I don't think there's even a point to discuss this. He's a Hall of Famer right now. He was a Hall of Famer probably 7-8 years ago.
He was the Hall of Famer as soon. You can honestly argue he was going to make the Hall of Fame as soon as he won his third championship back in 2004. Like, do we really need to go into detail why he's going to make the Hall of Fame? Come on, like we don't need to go into detail. He's going to make it first. Like come on, there's no point in discussing this.
No, and I'm sure there's not going to be any discussion when he's up whatever year that may or may not be. He doesn't seem to age. Whatever he's eating, I want some of that. That actually probably didn't sound too good, especially if you're thinking of Gisele Bündchen. But that's another thing.
Oh.
I'm not always appropriate. Number 2, defensive lineman Aaron Donald. I love this guy. I love this player, and I love seeing him right here at this spot.
Oh, love Aaron Donald. He's out of all the players that I consider like the young, like in the back end of 2010. If there's any player I see from that, I can see as a first ballot lock, Aaron Donald, no question, and no one else comes afterwards. It's Aaron Donald, and that's where it ends in terms of I can see right now being a first ballot Hall of Famer from a guy whose peak started in 2015. There's no question.
Now here's a little bit of love here for Drew Brees. I guess so. He's finally beat Aaron Rodgers on something.
Yes, he did. He did beat Aaron Rodgers in something, though I'm still waiting for them to eventually meet in the playoffs. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but hopefully it does one of these days. But fortunately, they're going to be on Sunday Night Football in Week 3, if Week 3 even happens.
We're going to have football. They're going to figure out a way for football to happen. I think football happening is a hell of a lot more likely than baseball happening.
At this point, with the way that the union and the players are butting heads constantly, that might just be the case. However, if you're looking for a time to get in some revenue for baseball, their Hall of Fame, moving that from 2020 2021, put in some Schilling and Bonds and Clemens, and then why not O'Neill? Why not Flood? Why not Allen? Why not all these
Evan and I were talking about that, actually, and about Curt Schilling with that. And I actually thought that this sort of helps him actually get into the Hall of Fame with that a little bit more. Because if now you're going to be combining ceremonies, Curt Schilling was not going to be your headliner. If the writers don't like him, which we know that they don't, Curt Schilling...
There's a lot about...
Yeah, because Curt Schilling would have been the headliner for 2021, I think.
Oh, yeah, he would have. And, you're merging the two spots, and considering that you're going to have, I think, more than one Veterans Committee, so you're going to have, the Golden Age, and then I think it's, early from, before, the 40s, and then the 50s and the 60s. So I'm seeing, maybe Dick Allen and Curt Flood and Buck O'Neill and Minnie Minoso. I mean, these are, guys that I've wanted forever.
Yeah, Curt Flood definitely, and I've said this before, Evan and I were talking about that. Anytime a baseball player signs a contract, they should be thanking Curt Flood.
Right here, actually, right by my desk, I actually have an entire article from the New York Daily News about the Hall of Fame push for Curt Flood. That's how much I want this guy in.
Yeah, and I do too. I'm a huge fan. Number 4, Richard Sherman.
You're a little bit surprised that he was up this high.
Yeah, I was
Richard
too.
Sherman, I figured that he'd, maybe be top 10. I didn't think he'd be top 5. But, Richard Sherman, he's either him or Patrick Peterson as the best corner of the whole decade. Even though, traditionally you could say that Peterson's been that underrated guy, for Sherman, in terms of, pass coverage and allowing the completion rates, Sherman is arguably the hardest cornerback to cover the whole decade. He makes it look so easy. And this guy was a 4th-round pick. Not bad. You can get talent anywhere in the draft as long as you're good at drafting.
Mm-hmm. The Gronk at number 5?
Well, Gronk is... you don't have to explain. But Gronk's going to make it. Honestly, you make it to the 100th. You made the 100th anniversary team.
Mm-hmm.
You took a year off. You're going to play for the Tampa Bay Gronkineers. Yes, I called them Tampa Bay Gronkineers because, come on, you have Tom Brady and you have Rob Gronkowski. That just fits, and I can't wait to see those two in action. As for Rob Gronkowski, number 5, he's the best tight end of the decade. There's no debate at all.
No, there's not at all. Aaron Rodgers, number 6, I think right where he should be. Rodgers also is a future Hall of Famer. I don't think anyone's debating that.
You'll make it first ballot. And for all we know, I don't think Rodgers is going to be with the Packers for The most I can see him is 2 more years. If anything, I wouldn't be shocked if Rodgers gets traded somewhere in the next offseason. Wouldn't it be cool if Rodgers was with the Patriots?
As long as he's not in the NFC South, I'm getting really tired of that.
No. Honestly, I think after this, he's probably going to get traded to the Raiders. That's what I personally think. I think in like a year or two, he'll get traded to the Raiders. That's my bold prediction.
And after and as soon as he gets there, all the Raiders fans will say, "Why isn't he in the Hall of Fame?"
But he just got there. But well, yeah. Nobody had a lot of sense when it comes to the Hall. Hell, the Raiders Twitter said, like and reply if you want Tom Flores and Cliff Branch. Reply if you say otherwise. And because they did the option that Twitter has where you can't reply, they did that. And they said, decision unanimous. Hey, that's not fair, man. That's not fair. And then I started seeing the comments and like, I get where you're coming for Plunkett, but Plunkett's the guy you want after those two? Like, I saw only a little bit for Lester Hayes. I saw only one person want Steve Wisniewski. I saw no one ask for Clem Daniels. Hell, I saw more people ask for Dave Dalby, Sid Taylor, and Matt Millen more than those guys in that comment section.
I don't even know what to say to that. We've certainly had.
You can't say because anyone would be speechless. That, like, if anything, I don't know. Like, maybe I should try out bleach. Maybe that could really help me out from looking at some of these requests.
It is funny. It'll always be funny, and I think this will be the 18th time I've said openly on air. Why are they not pushing for Steve Wisniewski? I don't get it. But whatever. No matter. That's not what we're discussing.
Hey, at least one person asked for him, so that's progress.
Yeah. Were they related to Steve?
Yeah, only one person. At least one person asked for Steve Wisniewski in the comment section. It's better than having 0.
That's true.
Except one.
Number 7, one of my favorite players ever, Von Miller.
No question here. He made it unanimous in the AP 2010's All-Decade team. Super Bowl MVP, 8-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, number 2 overall pick in the 2011 NFL Draft. Mm-hmm. He's going to make a first ballot when he retires. Well, he's not right now, but he's going to play for, assuming, like another 5 seasons probably, and then he'll make a first ballot because he has all the right, the first ballot Hall of Famer. Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, multi-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year, always in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think he's ever won it. I don't think Von Miller ever won Defensive Player of the Year. Let me just check. I know he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah, he never won it. He did win the Professional Buckets Award, though, so that's the best linebacker in the NFL. But his PFF grade, he's 8 consecutive seasons of a PFF grade above 90 as an edge rusher. That is just insane. Insane. And he pressured Cam Newton 8 times. I mean, it was, you can say the sacks, yes, the 3 sacks helped, but it's those 8 pressures that really set the momentum for the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 50.
Yeah, people are still upset at Cam Newton's post-game press conference.
Move on. The reason why is because he was hearing stuff behind him.
Wow. Oh. All good. Julio Jones, wide receiver. Lord knows I've watched him play far too many times, being a Saints fan.
I've seen Julio Jones. No shock here. I expected Julio Jones to be the number 1 ranked wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He has the best grading by PFF. He is fantastic. You don't have. He is physically dominant. He plays. He's dominant. Whenever you see Julio Jones run, you always know that he's going to be explosive. May not always translate to touchdowns. A lot of the times, the yardage could be more important than the TD.
No, absolutely. Unless you're a fantasy owner.
Which, yeah, that's true.
Which is a totally different topic. J.J. Watt, number 9. When he was at his peak, there was no one better. Period.
I was going to say that I kind of expect him to be higher, but at the same time, his peak came in the mid-2000s, and he had those 2 seasons where he missed injury, so he's obviously lower because of that, but J.J. Watt is only one of 2 players to win 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, the other being Lawrence Taylor. And also, just like Lawrence Taylor, they both ended a quarterback for the Redskins' career. I can't really say that so far for Alex Smith, but is he really going to start again? Let's be real here.
I would suspect not.
Yeah, no. Not at all. But, yeah, J.J. Watt, what more can be said? Instant. We'll make it first ballot. He should.
The guy at number 10, I think, should make first ballot. Whether he does or doesn't, I think some people might look at a relatively brief career in Luke Kuechly. To me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
There's some guys that had longer careers that had that a similar resume of 7 All-Pros and 7 Pro Bowls, and they made it first ballot, so I don't see why Luke Kuechly can't, especially considering the fact that he was a three-time professional Buckets Award winner, which means he was the best linebacker in the game 3 seasons. And they created this award in 2008, and he has had the most. So he's been the best linebacker in the game. His entire time, you could say, yeah, Luke Kuechly, he was the best linebacker of the decade. In terms of a pure linebacker, not as an edge rusher, but as a pure, interior linebacker, he was the best, easily.
Yeah, and just a great player, great leader. Again, another player I've seen far too much of as a Saints fan. It's now that his career is over, I can appreciate him. It's when I'm wearing my Saints jersey, watch it on Sundays. He was one of those guys I hated to play against. Just absolutely despised it. But moving on. In Joe Thomas, another guy, offensive lineman, a lot of people peg him as a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he will probably be so with the worst ever one-loss record of any NFL player in the Hall, by far.
His team won nothing, but in this case, you cannot blame him at all because whatever quarterback he was protecting the blind side of, he was always there. Didn't matter if it was Thad Lewis, Brandon Whedon, Johnny Manziel, Derek Anderson, doesn't matter. He was always there. 10,363 consecutive snaps, that alone. And he had the least amount of pressures allowed his entire time there. Joe Thomas is one of the best players I've ever seen. And in fact, I would say Joe Thomas was the best player of that entire 2007 draft class. That's a draft class that, don't forget, had other guys like Marshall Yanda, Adrian Peterson, Calvin Johnson. I could easily say Joe Thomas was the best out of all those guys.
Well, based on this ranking, Pro Football Focus would agree with you.
Yeah, but granted, this just has the whole decade, and Joe Thomas' career ended in 2017. He started his career in 2007, but in terms of that decade, Joe Thomas, easily, no question in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Chris Harris Jr. at number 12.
This might be a surprise to some people. However, Chris Harris, from an analytical perspective, he blows everyone out of the water. Chris Harris Jr., he is always fantastic in terms of disrupting passes, and only Richard Sherman allowed fewer receiving yards per snap in coverage than Chris Harris Jr. And he is a Swiss Army knife. He can do so much in the secondary. That's a big reason why Chris Harris is here too. And I think, even though it may show, he doesn't have many All-Pros, no. With Chris Harris, this is a guy you really got to look at the analytical side to really validate his case. And the odds are in his favor by a significant margin.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys, I think the more accolades he gets like this, the better it is. If anyone will sort of benefit more from a high rank like this, it's got to be Chris Harris. If those people in that room are paying attention, in my opinion.
Well, who knows if they're going to look at PFF? I think they should. And who cares if they're not, because I'll shove it in their face. But either way, Chris Harris Jr., I mean, I use the PFF 101 grade in terms of the way I do my spreadsheets and my rankings, too. So PFF, it is very, very beneficial that I have PFF. And for a guy like Chris Harris Jr., when you're ranked this high and you always do so well in the grading, oh yeah, you're boosted up way higher than some other guys. Well, not as much as like Peterson or Revis, but just right behind them. He's the easy fourth corner.
Antonio Brown, number 13. I said on a previous show that if Antonio Brown would have retired, he'd be a Hall of Famer. Now he's acted his way almost out of the Hall of Fame. I hate to say it, and he should be. Antonio Brown should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame based on other wide receivers and how he measures up. Having said that, is he ever going to get into the Hall of Fame? Because if this is a guy that nobody wants at this point. What does he have to do to sort of like get back in the good graces, or is it even possible?
The only team I can see signing him at this point is the Baltimore Ravens, and that's mainly because his cousin plays for them. And I'd love to see him, but there's also reports saying that Russell Wilson would love to see Antonio Brown come to the Seahawks. I don't know if the Seahawks would actually get him. That's why I think the Ravens are the more likely team. But either way, I just hope that he gets signed by someone because I want Antonio Brown to make the Hall when he retires, because I hate for this to be the last we see of Antonio Brown on the field. I hope he gets his life in order, but at the same time, who the hell knows? I mean, is he bipolar? Does he have CT? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't verify that. But there is something wrong with him, and he really needs help. He needs help, and I agree with you. If he were to retire, he probably would have been the same ranking, honestly. But this definitely hurts him for the long haul. Unless things, like maybe there could be some change. I don't know. It's such an uncertainty with everything.
Number 14, Evan Mathis.
This is something really interesting. Evan Mathis does extremely well. Not as drastic as even more drastic, I would say, compared to Chris Harris. Because with Chris Harris, he still gets his All-Pros and whatnot. With Evan Mathis, he only has 2 All-Pros to speak to his name. However, in terms of pressures and in terms of his gradings, oh my God, he was always super dominant. He always has those crushing blocks. The only thing I do question is that Evan Mathis did play for several teams during his career, though I don't speak for them, but for me, I'm not going to hold that against him, personally.
Yeah, but unfortunately, sometimes it does.
Yeah, though I do wonder, considering he is a PFF star, I guess you can say, because he's big at PFF, maybe this could help him, but I don't think it's going to help him as much as someone like Chris Harris, because he only has that 1 All-Pro and those 2 Pro Bowls. But who knows? We'll see.
Eric Weddle, the recently retired Eric Weddle at 15.
I'm high on Eric Weddle. Mm-hmm. I'm very big on Eric Weddle. Yeah. Whoever says that Eric Weddle should have never been on the All-Decade team instead of Cam Chancellor, you're out of your mind. Tyrann Mathieu, I can understand. Eric Weddle, hell no.
Yeah, I'm in 1,000% agreement with you on that. Calvin Johnson, I think he's getting in the Hall of Fame. He's number 16. The only question is when that happens. Accumulatively, in terms of his overall stats, they may not seem as impressive, but anyone who watched him play knows that he was the best wide receiver on the field every time he was on.
When you look at Calvin Johnson, I also do wonder, from the subtraction from 15 to 10 to 5, I do wonder, will he go? I don't think he's going to make a first ballot.
No,
but I do wonder, is he going to make it to the 10? Or is someone like Reggie Wayne or Torrey Holt more likely to do that in 2021?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he's eligible now for the first time. And he's going to be a semifinalist for sure. I don't know that he's a lock as a finalist. I really don't. And that's not a shot at Megatron. That's just a reality of how hard it is to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Though I would say with the pandemic and whatnot, I'm hounding and hoping that they expanded from 8 usual to 9 or 10. And I think that'll work for everyone. Though I don't know how much that's going to affect the moderns, though. It might affect, adding another senior and adding the coaching and the contributor section. But we'll just see what happens with that.
All right, so moving on, Khalil Mack.
More to say. He's a great player. He's a great edge rusher. He's Defensive Player of the Year. He's usually in the running for it. He's one of the best in his position. What more do I need to say?
Yeah, and also nothing needs to be said about Peyton Manning, number 18.
I mean, do I need to mention Peyton Manning? I don't think I need to mention Peyton Manning. Okay, I'll say it. 5 MVPs, case closed. He'll make it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, then another player like Brady, there's no discussion. No discussion needed whatsoever. Jason Peters, number 19.
Jason Peters might get signed by someone. I'm thinking maybe like the Chargers or the Broncos. But Jason Peters, even if he retires, he'll make the Hall of Fame. He'll definitely make the Hall of Fame. He's always been a phenomenal tackle for his time with the Bills and the Eagles. And though even in his 30s, he's been pretty good. Though I just wonder how he's going to be in 2020, 2021 if he continues to play.
So number 20, so with a 50% mark, or 50%, nice, 1/5 mark. Earl Thomas, he was actually my favorite player on the Seahawks when the Legion boom days. Sherman got all the press, but to me, it was Thomas. I always thought was such a great player. Is still.
Thomas, you could say, even though Rich Sherman was the vocal leader, Thomas was the biggest contributor to the Legion of Boom defense. He was the first piece, the first cog of the wheel. He was the first cog of a clock that wound up the Legion of Boom. And, he's still been doing these now with the Ravens. I heard about the whole story with him and his wife. Hopefully that gets all settled before the season starts. But, there's not much to say. Another great player.
Now, here's one I'm really happy about. It almost feels like he's finally getting all the attention he's deserved for so long. Number 21, Andrew Whitworth.
Hell yeah, brah. So happy for Whitworth. He is certainly underrated, but unfortunately, he is getting that press because, he was an alternate many times with the Bengals. And you could make a legitimate case that when his time with the Bengals, it was the same time that Joe Thomas was there. You could say that he was probably the best tackle in the AFC right after Joe Thomas, but he never got the recognition because he was never as big. He was always seen as Noah Cox, a whole lot of reasons. But luckily, Whitworth is getting the respect he deserves, and only Joe Thomas had a lower rate of pressure than more than Andrew Whitworth. And pressures is what's more impactful now. Yeah, it's all stacked, but in the deep analytical view, pressures are what really matters. And Whitworth is, like I said, only Joe Thomas has more. And the fact that he's 30 years old and he still gets a 3-year contract extension by the Rams only speaks volumes to how dominant he's been for so long, and now in his late 30s.
Yeah, it's an incredible career, and one where finally he's getting the attention that he's deserved for so long, and it's so great to see. Harrison Smith, number 22, safety.
This is a guy that a lot of people are also a little bit annoyed. I would say that I was kind of annoyed that Harrison Smith didn't make it before Cam Chancellor, especially when it comes to the coverage, his coverages, especially when the gradings. Granted, he could always be a little bit up and down, he's a little bit more inconsistent. However, because of in the Minnesota Vikings, he is seen as the centerpiece of Mike Zimmer's defense. It's not Everson Griffin. It's not Danielle Hunter. It's Harrison Smith. And hopefully Everson Griffin gets picked up by someone. Danielle Hunter, I could definitely see being on more of this list for the 2020s because he is phenomenal. But Harrison Smith, so happy he's here.
Darrelle Revis, I think he's hyped his way into maybe being a better player than he really was. And he was still so good.
Revis Island, what more do I have to say? Though I don't see him making a first ballot. I think the most I could see for Darrelle Revis is like 4 times, maybe 5. I think because that drop could hurt him a little bit, though. What more I'd say? Revis out.
Yep. Cornerback Casey Heyward Jr., number 24.
It's another surprise. Casey Heyward has been a vocal critic of how he's been snubbed for the Pro Bowl here and there, though I would say similar to Harris, not as much as Harris, but similar to Harris. He's one of those guys that you got to really look at the analytics and the deep numbers to really see his true impact, because he was always a little bit under the radar with the Packers, and then he truly blossomed with the Chargers. And so I'm happy to see him here. Don't know how much it's really going to impact him, though. Let's see how it plays out in the 2020s.
Mm-hmm. Someone we already talked about, number 25, Marshall Yanda. I know we both are big fans of his.
Huge on Marshall Yanda. He's getting retired in the same time that Eli Manning and Luke Kuechly and Joe Staley and a whole bunch of other guys are retired. So it's going to be a bit of a logjam. Please increase the number of moderns. Please, and thank you.
Devon Mccrory, safety, number 26.
This is, again, just like he's similar in this case, like always does well analytically. And people don't really see that because Mccrory is always the big picture of the Patriots defense. No matter what happens, he's always there. He is their defensive captain. He is their leader. He always fits well in that scheme. He only missed 71 tackles. Out of almost 900 career attempts, only 71 tackles he's missed. That is just ridiculous. And whenever the Patriots change, the one cog that always remains has been Devon Mccrory. And even though he may not have gotten, like, in terms of the accolades, in terms of the All-Pros and Pro Bowls, this is the guy that I really want to see get more talk down the line, because the Patriots were the team of the 2000s, and they were the team of the 2010. And in the 2010, you had Brady on offense. Who did you have on defense? He was Devon Mccrory. And, when the team is that dominant in that entire stretch, I mean, you could say that, Belichick doesn't have any players. Well, no, McCourty has always been there. McCourty has always been dominant, and it shows. The numbers show. The analytics show. Everything shows. No question. I'm big on McCourty, and I hope more respect comes his way.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about this guy endlessly, Joe Staley, so I don't think we need to go any further there. Retired now. I think he has a good chance to be in the Hall of Fame, but it's just so hard. It's so hard to get in.
Not before Lomas Brown.
Yeah. Patrick Willis, a semifinalist this year, number 28.
Yeah, I'm happy that Willis is on here. I mean, there's not much to say. He was a semifinalist in his first year. He's going to make the Hall. And the fact that, despite the fact he only played one half of the decade and he still finds his way on this list and this high in the late 20s, not bad.
Mm-hmm. Another all-decade player, Marshawn Lynch. Break out your Skittles.
Hell yeah.
Love this guy.
Hell yeah. Though I should mention, Lesean Mccoy, despite having the most amount of rushing yards and touchdowns out of any running back, despite having the best stats of any running back this entire decade, he's not on this list. However, with the PFF rating system, it's okay. Don't worry. I'm still very high on LeSean McCoy. But Marshawn Lynch, this is definitely going to help him out down the road. And I'm happy it has. That being a big name. I don't know how much that truly impacts it. But let's see what happens. I'm happy for Skittles. And, you got chickens.
Now I want some Skittles. I can't find them down here.
Damn it.
Yeah. Number 30, DeAndre Hopkins. I'm chuckling now because I'm still thinking about that trade.
Man, Bill O'Brien. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I can't even imagine what it must feel like to be a Texans fan.
Man,
and then you wake up and then you read that happen.
You trade away arguably the best receiver in the game, and you don't even get a first-round pick. Instead, you get a second-rounder, a fourth-rounder, and a beat-up running back with a bad contract. And instead, the Texans don't have a pick for the next 2 years because they give up a lot to get Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills. And then you see the Cardinals have one of the best drafts when you get Isaiah Simmons in the first round. And then you have Josh Jones. The Texans don't. No one else gets them. They just fell in their lap in the middle of the third round.
I generally don't feel sorry for multimillionaires, but I feel sorry for Deshaun Watson.
I don't know. I feel bad for Deshaun Watson because you can say he's making his money, but his O-line still Swiss cheese. Let's not forget that. And Brandon Cooks is fine, but Brandon Cooks was the third option on the Rams this year. Now, granted, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are always pretty decent and pretty good, but the fact that you're still the third guy and you're going to become the second guy, probably oftentimes the first, because Will Fuller is oftentimes healthy. Good luck, Deshaun. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you.
Player we both love, and we're so happy that he's getting attention. Geno Atkins, Cincinnati Bengals. We're showing you love, Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati. And they're the only team, and you and I agree. The Bengals are the only team I can't blame them for feeling like they're slighted. Because even though, for Raiders fans, I could slight them for wanting a guy like Matt Millen or Sid Taylor or whatever, I can't blame you for wanting, Ken Anderson, who's deserving, Ken Riley, who despite being fifth all time in interceptions doesn't have a Pro Bowl to his name, Lamar Parrish, Willie Anderson, and Chad Johnson, and of course Corey Dillon. Even though Corey Dillon doesn't have an All-Pro, I can't blame you for feeling that way because he was the only good thing about the '90s Bengals, who just sucked. He was the only good thing about those teams.
The only fan base that has earned that chip. Use it properly.
Only fan base. And there's most fan bases you can't because, like I said, the Raiders and some other teams. And we've had our own, jabs at them. With the Bengals, you can't blame me for feeling that way. In fact, make me actually want a Corey Dillon now for some reason. And I'm not a huge Corey Dillon guy, but honestly, he's below Alexander and Taylor and Barber and, Waters, of course. But, hey, Corey Dillon, if the case is done right, but not until after those four, if ever. But can't blame him for feeling that way. You have nothing. I can't complain.
So this one, I'm going to gloss right over because you've said so many things. You're pretty much the president without being the president of number 32, the Matt Ryan fan club.
Oh, yeah. Number 33 is Russell Wilson. Now, I'm not going to mention Russell Wilson because you see so many people say Russell Wilson's the most criminally underrated quarterback that no one talks about. No one talks about poor Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson. People don't talk about Russell. No. People talk about Russell Wilson a lot. Like the last few years, he's always said, whenever you have Russell Wilson, you have a chance. And I hear that a lot. But don't forget, Russell Wilson was not this great quarterback when he first came in the league. He was more of the game manager when he first came in. Matt Ryan is the guy that's criminally underrated. Matt Ryan is the guy that people don't talk about. Matt Ryan is the one that the media don't mention or don't give the respect because a whole bunch of reasons. He's not as talkative. He's the Super Bowl loss, Russell Hartz, and a whole bunch of other reasons. It's not Russell Wilson that's the criminally underrated guy, and whoever says that is wrong. I never saw him as underrated at all. Yeah,
when you forwarded that off to me, I was glad I wasn't drinking a beverage because I would have done a spit take. Because I know that Russell Wilson's also the guy who's married a beautiful pop star or a hip hop star.
Yep. Ciara is huge. Ciara is a pretty big name.
Yeah, and he's in national advertising commercials. Matt Ryan, I don't know who he's married to. I generally don't care who anyone's married to. I can't remember if I've even ever seen Matt Ryan in a commercial.
I think there's only been 2 commercials I've ever seen Matt Ryan. I think I remember seeing him in a Dish Network commercial one time in the early 2010s and a Gatorade commercial where he talked about make the feet your fuel. So that's the only times I've ever seen Matt Ryan commercials. Whereas Russell Wilson, I've seen him in Madden. I've seen him for Pizza Hut. I've seen him for Pizza Hut. I've seen him for Amazon. I've seen him for so many different stuff. I've seen him for Pepsi. You think Russell Wilson is underrated? You think Russell Wilson is underappreciated? You think Russell Wilson is a guy that no one talks about? Stop smoking meth. Okay? Stop smoking meth.
Number 34, we've talked a lot about him. Travis Frederick, his career is now over. Excellent center.
One of those instances of the PFF grade really helping in your favor. Even though Frederick didn't make the all-decade team, I'm not going to ignore him because when you rank that high, when you're the highest-ranked safety of the decade by the leader of analytical studies for the sport, can't argue with you. Can't argue.
Yep. Adrian Peterson, he's a future Hall of Famer. I don't think whether he's ranked or not at this point, he's in. He's in at this point. Just a matter of when.
He's Adrian Peterson.
Yep.
Now, granted, there's another Adrian Peterson. He played for the Bears, but different Adrian Peterson. The Adrian Peterson everyone knows, you don't have to say anything. He's going to make it. In fact, I would say that Adrian Peterson's one of those 5 guys where they're going to be first ballot. Tom Brady,
agreed.
Drew Brees, Lesean Mccoy, Aaron Rodgers, Adrian Peterson, which I think that's also your top 5 for your rankings of active players, because those are the 5 that no one can argue are going to make it first ballot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me, I got to go back to work on that and change that for the upcoming season. Here's a player that I honestly didn't even think of. Chris Myers, number 36, center.
I don't think he's making the Hall, but get that out of the way, because though I do wonder how much this is going to affect, because he's easily the least known player on this list. I do wonder, now PFF says he doesn't have any respect because he was a 6th-round pick. No, because there's other guys that have been in the later rounds that have been on this list, so you can't say that. But outside of that, I don't know. Like, when it comes to blocking centers, zone blocking, I guess maybe that could help, Alex Gibbs, Hall of Fame case, the offensive line coach for the Denver Broncos, which, of course, as you know, I'm huge when it comes to assistant coaches, Buddy Ryan and Clark Shaughnessy and whatnot. But with Chris Myers, it's not going to change anything, except maybe it's a tinge. And I really do mean a tinge. I'm being generous when I say a tinge.
Mm-hmm. Ben Roethlisberger, he's one of those guys at number 37, one of those guys that people like to debate a lot. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Would you agree on that?
I'm not going to say because the answer is easily yes. Whoever says no and wants to bring up that, whoever wants to bring up that case, when I say that case, whoever knows that, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not getting that whole he said, she said BS. Ben Roethlisberger is going to make the first ballot.
Okay.
Do people like to say that? I don't know, because you may say he has 6 Pro Bowls, but I think 2 or 3 of those times he was a first alternate, and he said, "Nah, I'm not doing fans." So yeah, just ignore the Pro Bowls when it comes to Ben Roethlisberger. The proof is in the pudding. Ben is great. He's going to make a first ballot. He was the best quarterback of the 2004 class. Him or Rivers, it's back and forth between him and Rivers. People have said Ben, but Phil has gotten a bit more on him over the past. But Ben, yeah, he's had the supporting guest. I think, and Peyton Manning had that too. Tom Brady also had that too. A lot of guys. You always need supporting cast. If you don't have any supporting cast, you're going to be a bust.
Player up next to, I really hope that he has a bounce back year. AJ Green, wide receiver.
I'm so big on AJ Green. Love AJ Green. I hope he is so happy that Joe Burrow is his quarterback now. He is so happy about that.
And hopefully something good will happen. Another guy I absolutely love, Bobby Wagner, 39.
Wagner, it's always him and Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly, I would say, was better than Bobby Wagner. However, he is great too. He's picking hairs. The reason Kuechly is better, but that's no shot against Wagner. That is no shot. Wagner, where everyone in the Legion of Boom has gone, he's the only guy on defense that stayed. And in the same draft as Russell Wilson, 6 All-Pros, then he'll make the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say.
Mm-hmm. Mike Evans, speaking of guys who are really happy.
Mike Evans, that's a guy that he's always really good. Whereas Jameis Winston early in his career, we had Josh McCown and Mike Glennon and Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's got to be super, just over the moon that his quarterback is now Tom Brady. And I love Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is going to be on my list by next year. But we'll just see. And I'm happy he's on this list.
Number 41, Cameron Wake.
This is the guy that I would have rather had on the All-Decade team than Cameron Jordan, because Cameron Wake actually had more sacks, more tackles, and also had more first-team All-Pro nods than Cameron Jordan. This is one of those instances in which recency bias might have played a role, and it's also why you shouldn't always put all your eggs in the basket of the All-Decade team, because there could be some disparities and some inconsistencies in there. And I'm so happy that Cameron Wake is given the respect he's deserved here. That's no shot against Cameron Jordan. He's here above Jordan, which seems right, and I have no problem with Dolphins fans pushing you down the road because you deserve it, dude.
Number 42, Brandon Graham.
Very underrated. This is the guy that his case, if it happens, it's going to all come from pressures. He's a pressure machine. Not just sacks, but pressures. Pressure. Whenever you think of a pressure guy, Brandon Graham is the de facto pressure guy you always think of. And if he does have a case, like some Eagles fans have said, and yeah, he's always been underrated because he's never gotten the All-Pros one by sports writers and media members. But Brandon Graham, pressure king.
Love this player. Number 43, Tyron Smith. Still has a lot of football left in him if he chooses to continue to play.
Oh, he is going to continue to play. He's a Pro Bowler every single year. He's dominant. He is just dominant. Always so good. Him and Peters and, seeing him, Peters, and Williams all in the same division, and they would always make the Pro Bowl, but you say, the NFC East is biased one. Well, you could say that, but they were always so good at their games. And just seeing how the Giants are the only ones that don't have that makes it look even more sad in comparison. Like, you have these 3 potential future Hall of Fame tackles, and you have the Giants who have Eric Flowers. Not anymore, but yeah, Eric Flowers.
So 44, Alex Mack, great center.
Love Alex Mack, another great player. Now, surprisingly, you might be saying, "Where's Marquise Pouncey?" You'll see him later down the line, but Alex Mack is in that little subsection where he made it the All-Decade team, but probably made his second team. If they were to do it, the first and second team, he probably would have been second team. And then for Alex Mack, I do wonder, is he going to have a bounce back season or going to continue to decline? Because Alex Mack, he's been good every single season. He's always been consistent.
Fletcher Cox, number 45, another player I love.
Like Fletcher Cox, really good player, great player, rising star. His star is continuing to rise. And, yeah, I'm only going to see him getting better.
Justin Houston, number 46.
This is a guy whose injuries derailed his career, but when he was at his peak performance, one of the best pass rushers in the game.
Number 47, Larry Fitzgerald. No point even discussing it. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, as he should be.
Whenever you make the 100th anniversary team, you should never go into detail why that person deserves into the Hall of Fame. No,
absolutely. Player, I think every time we talk, we always talk about this guy, Coleus Campbell, and how much we love this guy.
So he's a wine. He's not milk. He is wine. That is what Calais Campbell. He ages great. He's always so good. Great with the Cardinals. Great with the Jaguars. And he's a new great with the Ravens too. You know he is. You just know he is.
Love everything about him. Andre Johnson.
He was good, and his quarterback sucks too. He had guys like David Carr and Ryan Mallett and T.J. Yates and hell, His best quarterback was Matt Schaub. His best quarterback, that's no shot to Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub's still in the league, and he's from 2004. His career lasted longer than Eli Manning. That's no shot to Matt Schaub. And, and the fact that Andre Johnson, regardless of the quarterback, he always caught the ball. He caught over almost 95% of his targets. That is just... Before Jones and Brown, he was considered the best. He was considered the best guy in the game. I do wonder how much it's going to affect his chances, though, because he has this backlog of wide receivers. Like I said, increase the number of moderns. Just get those receivers in. Get in Calvin. Get in Holt. Get in Wayne. Get in Andre. Steve Smith, you'll see down the line. And hell, even Hines Ward and Chad Johnson. Just getting. We like our receivers. We like our receivers. And Andre Johnson, so underrated, so good.
And number 50, Travis Kelce.
I think he'll make the Hall of Fame when he retires.
I think so too.
He was the second best tight end of the 2010s decade. Not much to say. Kelce is just great.
Definitely.
He has a lot of staying power. And especially when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback now, oh yeah, he's not leaving.
Mm-hmm. So just for the interest of time, I'll just name off the remainings and just say yes or no whether they're a Hall of Famer at this point. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So number 51, guard Zack Martin.
Yeah, he's on his way to become a legend, a literal legend, like a 10-time Pro Bowler, 11-time Pro Bowler. He's on Larry Allen's level. That's the way he's looking at right now.
52, center Jason Kelce.
Very big on Jason Kelce, very underrated guy. I think his first-team All-Pros is going to help him down the line.
Number 53, cornerback Brent Grimes.
His fall was very steep. It was very steep, no chance.
54, cornerback Patrick Peterson.
Pretty shocked to see him this low, but yeah, he'll make it. I love Patrick Peterson, very underrated.
All right, 55, safety Cam Chancellor.
Cam Chancellor, he's one of those guys where you could have won the 2010 decade, but this is also one of those cases where how much you're going to value the time as Legion of Boom, how much that's going to affect him. I'd say it's going to take a while.
Number 56, defensive lineman Damon Harrison Sr.
Snacks is the kind of guy where, you got to look at the numbers because the All-Pros and Pro Bowls might not affect, but Harrison, he was known as the run stuffer of the game. Him or Vince Wilfork, I'm big on my nose tackles. I'm big on those kind of guys.
All right, 57, linebacker Navarro Bowman.
A bit of a short career, but whenever he played, he was always super dominant. So I don't see him happening for Willis or Smith or those other guys from those early 2010s 49ers. But Bowman's that good third guy.
58, tackle Dwayne Brown.
Him and the next guy, 59, Trent Williams, they're kind of similar in terms of their chances. Like, they could make it, they might not. It just depends the next 2 years.
Number 60, linebacker Derrick Johnson.
He made their all-decade team as the second-team linebacker. Very versatile, though. I can see him as a guy that Chiefs fans are going to want, though it's going to be less than other guys like, a Taylor or a Trier or a Mays or some of those other guys from AFL era.
61, wide receiver Brandon Marshall.
Very unique case. There's a lot of teams, Dolphins, Broncos, Bears, Jets, etc. I have no idea what it's going to be with Brandon Marshall. He is a complete uncertainty.
Number 62, Nick Mangold.
He's one of those guys that I would say he's better than Alex Mack. He's better than Alex Mack. Because it had the 2 decades, he's like the late 2000s, and like Ruben Brown, another one of our patron saints. Because of that, he's not on the all-decade team, but Nick Mangold, he was fantastic. I'm big on Nick Mangold, and it's not because I'm from New York. He legitimately was that good.
Yeah, and another shout out to you for someone this much, growing up in New York, and you don't have like a bias towards. You don't have a fandom. I wish I was like that. I can't be objective.
My favorite player on the Jets my favorite player that was on the Jets was Chad Pennington, then it became Brett Favre. But regardless of what it was, my favorite player on the Jets afterwards was Nick Mangold because I love that beard.
Mm-hmm. So at 63, no point. Safety Troy Polamalu.
Troy Polamalu's in the Hall of Fame already.
Yep.
Will we make the Hall of Fame again?
Hey.
No point in talking.
Hey, in basketball, you can make the Hall of Fame twice.
Well, yeah, but Polamalu's not a coach.
Yeah, I know. 64, Phillip Rivers, quarterback.
I'm big on Rivers. I'm big on Phil. Yeah, definitely.
Cameron Jordan, who we just talked about.
I'm also big on Cameron Jordan. I think his Hall of Fame case is just starting.
Number 66, the most unlikely all-decade person, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger.
He's a very versatile guy. Maybe I could see. Maybe I can't. I don't know. It really depends what happens down the road.
Linebacker, Levante David.
This is the guy that I wish was on the all-decade team because if you had that third team, like that mock-up third team that we saw online, Levante David, he's not the kind of guy that's going to get the sacks, but he's all about the tackles. He's more about a tackle kind of guy. He's one of those very underrated prospects, and hopefully now with Brady and Gronkowski with the Buccaneers are more hyped than the Browns were last year. I hope Levante David's getting the respect he so desperately deserves.
Number 68, Josh Sitton.
Josh Sitton's on this list because Ari Evans and Logan Mankins is not. So I can definitely see that where Mankins and Sitton, the back and forth. Though I would say with Mankins, you got to really look at the late 2000s because that's why Mankins is not on this list. So for Sitton, he was great at blocking the pass his whole career. He 4 straight years, 90, like just dominant in the early 2010s.
69, wide receiver, Jordy Nelson.
No Wayne Hill.
Agreed. Number 70, guard, Brandon Brooks.
Let's see what happens down the line.
Mm-hmm. 71, defensive lineman, Ndamukong Suh.
Love Suh. I love Suh. He is one of those guys that makes people around him better. That's a fact. In fact, you look at Shaq Barrett, you look at Aaron Donald, they led the league in sacks, and it's because you had Ndamukong Suh right down the middle.
72, defensive line, Gerald McCoy.
Love McCoy. Another guy I just love. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, there's so many great defensive tackles during the 2010s. I just hope, I just hope they get more recognition. And also, don't forget Gerald McCoy. Congrats on getting more fit in the offseason.
Here's a surprise to me: 73 off tackle Jordan Gross.
Strange that Gross is on here. No, he's not making the Hall. Though I would say that in terms of the accolades, he's one of those guys where history is going to look a little bit better for Gross down the line. That's what I think.
74, Michael Bennett.
Nah.
Yeah. Wide receiver Des Bryant, number 75.
No. Just no.
Number 76. There's one very interesting. Stephon Gilmore, reigning Defensive Player of the Year.
His take is only going to grow, especially when you win Defensive Player of the Year. Oh, yeah, he was the best defensive player in the game last year.
Mm-hmm. 77, wide receiver Doug Baldwin. I think that's a no.
Do I need to really say no to that?
Nope.
Come on.
Right. 78, Tamba Hali.
A lot of pressures, but this was very early in the 2010s. It's Sim and Jared. This is a guy that could see Chiefs fans warning, but yeah.
79, Lane Johnson.
Him, Williams, and especially Mitchell Schwartz. Like, Mitchell Schwartz, I'm huge on. Lane Johnson, I also really like. Like, you can never underestimate the power of the right tackle. Like, always very dominant. It's also why George Coombs, I'm huge on him from the Falcons from the 1970s.
Mm-hmm. Number 80, Chandler Jones.
Instantly. Yeah, I'm big on Chandler Jones. This guy sacks the quarterback relentlessly, constantly. And he has been just dominant. No matter the team, you're always going to know he's always going to be in those Defensive Player of the Year talks. Always a lot of discrepancy. Just always so good.
Greg Olsen, tight end.
The injuries at the end kind of killed it.
Yeah. Teron Armstead.
I see it getting better as things go on.
Yeah, this one I don't see here either. Keenan Allen, number 83.
No. Wait, no.
David Bakhtiari, tackle, 84.
This is a guy where the All-Pros, and especially PFF, is really going to help him out because Bakhtiari, he is fantastic. Bakhtiari is fantastic at right tackle.
Aqib Talib, cornerback.
This is a guy that I've seen some people say was a kind of a snub when it came to the 2010 All-Decade team. I think Chris Harris is a really good chance, especially with this. Chris Harris, this really helps him.
Yep.
For Aqib Talib, when you have someone from the no-fly zone, if it's going to be anyone, if you have to choose one of the two, it would be Chris Harris by a really significant margin, especially when it comes to disrupting passes and zone coverage.
And here we go, Jamaal Charles, 86.
Yes, Jamaal Charles. There's no Frank Gore on this list, but I'm big on Frank Gore, but I'm also even bigger, just as big on Jamaal Charles because with Jamaal Charles, it's one of those guys where he had a 5.4 yards per carry. That's a record. And he was just dominant. In the early 2010s, he was the epitome of dominant. Whereas a guy like Gore, you can say longevity and that's nothing against Frank Gore. I'm huge on Frank Gore. But Jamaal Charles, in terms of impact of the early 2010s, it was all dominant for Jamaal Charles. Mm-hmm. And those Chiefs teams in the early 2010s, not until Andy Reid got there, they were trash. They had the number one pick. They got Eric Fisher. But Jamaal Charles there, and I feel like as much as I want Frank Gore, I do want to once you have Frank Gore, those cases of Clay Matthews Jr. and Jim Marshall and Pat Fisher are really going to build up, and I have no problem with any of those guys. So I would say once you have Frank Gore, you're going to have the Vikings fans one, Marshall and Browns fans one, Matthews Jr. and the rest.
Yep. Wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders.
Some Broncos fans were saying, "Oh my God, PFF is biased because Demaryius Thomas is anonymous." Dude, Chris Harris and Von Miller are in the top 15. So shush.
PFF only cares about numbers. There's no bias here whatsoever.
There's no PFF is not biased. It is literally all numbers. There's no bias here. They didn't have Des Bryant above Demaryius Thomas because he played for the Cowboys. If that was the case, then why was Andrew Whitworth above? Why was Marshawn Lynch above Adrian Peterson? They're outnumbered. They don't care. They don't have any bias.
Here's a blast from the past. Charles Tillman.
This is a guy I could actually see getting some buzz. I think because of his impact in terms of someone from the even when the Tampa 2 defense was having, this is a guy I can actually see a bit of a case for because his peanut punch and also because how unique he was as a player.
Carlos Dunlap.
Bengals fans, I have no issue. Don't worry, Bengals fans. You're the only team that I feel that I'm able to say this about. So I have no problem with you saying about Carlos Dunlap.
But Hall of Famer.
Maybe. Let's see what happens.
Steve Smith.
He'll make it.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Too early to tell.
Le'Veon Bell.
Sitting out a year and then making less money to go play for the Jets where you have 3 yards per carry and Frank Gore looks like he's going to replace you, a guy that's going to be 37 and he's still chugging along no matter what happens. Frank Gore. Yeah, no.
I'd say his path has definitely taken a downswing. Kevin Byard.
Too early to tell.
Yeah, Jonathan Joseph, number 94.
No.
James Harrison. This is interesting.
I like James Harrison. Don't forget, James Harrison was a Defensive Player of the Year. James Harrison was a great player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mm-hmm. James Harrison is a guy I love. I know that Clark Judge says I don't want him, but come on. James Harrison, Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time All-Pro, Pro Bowler, on the PFF 101 come on. But when you're talking about the defensive players, the Steelers, when you're talking about, the edge, the linebacking core, James Harrison's usually the one who comes to mind.
He's definitely going to be at least a semifinalist.
I hope so.
Yeah. Jarrell Casey.
Too early to tell. Though 5 Pro Bowls really helped. Though I have no idea why the Titans would only get a 7th-round pick for Casey. I don't understand why. Though he's always really dominant. He's very underrated.
97.
Maybe. I can see a case.
Yeah, okay. Number 97, Cameron Heyward.
Too early to tell.
Jalen Ramsey.
Way too early to tell.
Rodney Hudson.
No chance.
Mitchell Schwartz.
This is the guy who should have been at least in serious consideration for the 2010 All-Decade team. Doesn't have a Pro Bowl, but who cares? You have 4 All-Pros, and he's the best right tackle in the game.
And actually, I'm glad this guy's here. Perfect way to end. And it looks
Eric
Eric Berry, because it looks like his career is over. Loved watching him play. Has a great story. Did he do enough?
Made the All-Decade team. Made the All-Decade team despite having a somewhat short career. Able to come back from cancer. I mean, so the same thing I have no issue with Travis Frederick. I have no issue with that. Though I would say, I can see semifinalists. So I'm going to see, that's the guy. Move over Tom Holly, move over Derrick Johnson. That's the guy who could really see Chiefs fans wanting.
Yeah, and Barry hasn't officially retired, but I think it's pretty much assumed that his career is over. So we're not going to be adding anything else to his body of work. And again, love the story, love the guy. Vinny, thanks so much for this idea. I'm sure we're going to be doing something soon.
Yeah, it's always good. And in case anyone's wondering what I'm doing as we speak on the old spreadsheet, I'm literally evaluating everyone on the NFL top 100 list, and that includes everyone that's been on that list, from everyone that would expect, like a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers, to some people that you may not expect, like Tim Tebow and Fred Jackson, and of course the worst running back in NFL history, Trent Richardson. Well, he's not the worst running back in NFL history. It's what others have said, though it is kind of funny. No offense to him, and I do feel bad the fact that his family did take advantage of his wealth. But, yeah, Blake Bortles is on this list, too.
Oh, wow. All right, I got to look more at these 100s. They sound hysterical.
But at the same time, we should acknowledge this is a great way to really elaborate. You need to pay attention to the deep analytics. The same way that you pay attention to sports writers and the regular stuff, you need to pay attention to the statisticians, you need to pay attention to coaches, and even in the case of the NFL 100, you need to listen to what the players say too, because people say that players deserve to have a voice. Well, use their voice. And if you don't like it, well, shame on you because you asked for
it. Truer words never spoken. Thanks so much, Vinny. Stay safe.
You too, man. You too.
Thank you so much for listening. Look for more content soon from us at nonhalloffame.com, and we hope everyone's staying safe. Thanks so much.